A predator is something that hunts something else down and consumes it. We're going to think about this as it relates to our class novel, Salt to the Sea. Joanna is one of the main characters. She's the first character we meet. And she says that she's hunted by guilt. In fact, that's the first line she says in the book, and it's the first page of the book. The first line of the whole book, she says, guilt is a hunter. Now, Florian is the narrator of the next moment of the book, and he says, fate is a hunter. Emilia is next, so these circles are out of order. But Alfred says, fear is a hunter. Emilia says, shame is a hunter. They all have the same motif in the beginning of their first moment in the book, where they each say something is a hunter in their lives. Now, the question is, do they have anything in common, these four characters and the things that hunt them, right? Joanna feels guilt, but does she ever feel these other feelings? Does Emilia ever feel the guilt that Joanna feels, or at least the same feeling that Joanna feels, which is guilt? Or are these just super simple one-dimensional characters? You could argue that every character feels all four of these things hunting them at one point or another in the book. Now, you could say Joanna feels fear and fate and guilt and shame, all four of those things at several instances throughout the book. Likewise, Florian feels all of these things at one point or another. It's not as if he feels fate is hunting him, but he never feels any fear, never feels any shame. No, he feels all of these things. Emilia feels all of these things. Alfred potentially feels all these things, but not shame. Now, you could make an argument for him never feeling shame, but in general, all four characters feel all of these things at one point or another in the novel. So that's what we're going to explore for this assignment. Choose one of the main characters, one of those four we just looked at, no minor characters, no shoe poet, Klaus, Ingrid, or Eva. Identify the predator that hunts them the most, the thing that's hunting them down, they feel like is going to consume them. Illustrate that character, and then summarize 3 times in the book where that character felt hunted by that predator. Of course, you need to cite those things with page numbers. Once you're done with that, choose a different main character, no minor characters, illustrate them as well, and instead of 3, just give me 1 time in the book where they felt the same predator as the first character that you showed 3 instances for. Of course, you need to cite their moment as well. Finally, on the back of your one-pager, write 8 or more sentences comparing the way that these 2 characters experience this feeling. Okay? There should be a period at the end of that sentence. So, for example, how do they respond? Do they respond similarly, differently? What are the reasons for their guilt, for their shame, for them being afraid, or for them feeling like they're out of control in their life, they're hunted by fate, right? Does this predator mean the same thing to both characters? Of course, in this paragraph, the main focus is the answer to this question. Here's your guiding question. Are their experiences ultimately similar? Are they ultimately different? Or are they some of both? Now, here's an example that's not about predators, but about theme in the novel 1984. Okay, this has every element needed. It has my name. I created this. It has a title, Subversive Freedom in 1984. That is one of the themes in 1984. Of course, this isn't necessarily about theme, but about the predators. I've got an illustration of my one main character, Winston in this case. And I've got 3 examples of the theme. What you're going to do is 3 examples of this predator hunting a character. I also have 1 illustration of the other character and 1 example of them being hunted by that character, right? Main character, 3 things. Secondary main character, 1 thing. Finally, I have my comparison. And you can see that my sentence here is Winston and Julia both subvert the power of the party in pursuit of personal freedom, but they pursue different kinds of freedom, right? So that should be something like your first sentence where you either say it's different, similar, or some of both. And then, of course, along the edges of my one-pager, I've got decorations inspired by the things in the novel so that I don't have this dead, useless space. It all contributes to what I'm exploring. And, of course, we've got these here page citations to show that what I'm saying is actually based in the novel and I'm not just making it up. Okay? These are all the things that your one-pager should do, only with Salt to the Sea and not 1984. So let's look at an example. Maybe you choose shame to explore. Of course, Emilia is the one who first says shame is a hunter, so you're going to give me 3 examples of her experiencing shame. You're going to cite all of those, of course. And then you'll give me an illustration of another character. Let's say Alfred. And then instead of 3 instances, you'll give me 1 moment in the book where Alfred feels shame, and you'll cite it with a page number. Then in the middle, you're going to write about how Alfred and Emilia experience shame similarly, differently, or some of both. Okay, now it can be some of both, but that means you'll have to say, well, they experience it both similarly and differently. Give me an example of Emilia and Alfred feeling shame and how that's similar, an example of Emilia and Alfred feeling shame and how it's different, right? Similar, different, some of both. So to quick recap, choose a main character, identify what hunts them, illustrate them, give me 3 moments in the book where they feel hunted by that predator. Second, choose a different main character, illustrate them, and give me 1 time in the book where they felt hunted by the same thing that the first character feels hunted by. And finally, write 8 or more sentences comparing the way both characters experience this feeling, whatever it is. I hope this all makes sense. If not, let me know. I'm here to help you, and I'll see you in class.